Hello. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to the stream. What a pleasure it is to have you here. Let's see. Oh, okay. That looks kind of cool, actually. Not really sure what we're gonna do this stream. Guess we could play the finals. It's been a while since I played the finals. I still want to go into the skins, so I feel like I should play it. Can I fix this? Okay, that's a little better. It's just gonna be a chill stream. Nothing too crazy. I'll have a video that we can watch while I play the finals, and I'll commentate on it and such. What is this? I gotta pre-watch that. Might be cool. There's an Ant-Man skull in Deadpool. Did you see it? There's an Ant-Man skull It's Ant-Man. It's his skull. It's crazy. What's this? It's kind of sick. What the fuck? I'm looking for a video. Sorry, there was a lot of stuff that I was looking at. Okay, so we got a few here that I don't think we've watched. Play those in the background. Should be nice. Hold on. Okay. Make sure the volume is alright. Okay. That's about as good as I'm gonna make it. But I'll turn down the you know what, I'm just gonna mute the finals audio. You don't need to hear that. And make that nice and quiet, just so it's kind of gently in the background. You might still be able to hear. Okay. Let's pull this up. That's not the one. Yep. Let's move this over here. Shrink it down. Wait, hold on. Shrink this down. You know what? That's gonna become a problem. So I'm actually gonna do something else. This one. Okay. Wait, shit. Beautiful. Shrink it, shrink it, shrink it. That's gonna go in this corner. I'll make it just big enough so you can see it. Now we pull up the finals. I got my Wi-Fi set up, which is very nice. I now have a home security system, which is also very nice. It's just nice to have something that kind of will inform me if something bad happens. This one, please. Oh, come on now. That's the one. There it is. Wait. Don't I have another one? Is that the one? Oh, I do have another one. And then this one kind of needs to go over here. Okay. Nope. Shit. This one. And this one. Okay, cool. Okay. Make this bigger. I almost forgot the chat. Silly me. Almost nearly forgot it. Cool. Then we go over here. Theater mode, please. Oh wait, I think we could even go F11. Yeah, that's much better.
Yellow.
Pink.
Hello?
What's up? You here to debate?
Yeah.
All right. What's your name and how old are you?
I got a new gesture.
My name is Gabriel,
I'm sick.
and I'm 41.
All right. And which topic did you want to debate about?
Do you really believe that you should be able to abort 9-month-old babies?
Yeah, I believe somebody can terminate a pregnancy at any time during the pregnancy. Yeah.
Do you consider the child at all? Because at 9 months, that is a child.
Yeah, I think that at 9 months you should have
Wait, what's
abortions
the
that
wait time?
prioritize the life of the fetus because I believe the fetus to have sentience.
13 minutes? You fucking kidding me?
Consideration.
Guess this game fell off in Asian servers.
Remove it from your body.
Remove it from your body.
Uh-huh.
You say things
Let's
in real
try
technical
Europe.
terms, scientific terms.
13
Remove
minutes.
it from your
Great,
body.
love that.
Yeah,
What if
North
it
America?
is a child?
You can still remove
Also
it from
13
your
minutes,
body.
because
Why
no
would
one
you
is
remove
playing the
something
game.
from your body?
Because it's not.
South
That should be a
America.
choice that you should
Also
make if it's
13
a human being.
Great.
Yeah, removing it from your body doesn't mean
Oceania? Nope.
it just means you're taking
What
it
are
out
you
Are they just
defining abortion?
lying? Or...
as the
What the fuck? Automatic is
medical
also just
termination of a
13
pregnancy.
minutes. What the
Specifically,
fuck?
it's the evacuation of the
So what does
contents of the
terminate
uterus.
mean?
Well, there's no difference.
Terminate
Put me in the Asian
pregnancy
servers.
would mean to end a pregnancy.
And so what you're saying is that you believe that you can end a pregnancy without terminating the baby. So you don't really believe
Yes,
that
we
a 9-month-old
We
baby
end
should be
pregnancies.
terminated.
Correct. That's why I say terminate the pregnancy, not terminate the fetus.
Well, that makes it a lot more clear because I would think that would be outrageous to terminate a pregnancy. Now you say abolish police.
Correct.
Is that correct? So what about all the people that live in neighborhoods that are criminals thrive at? Mostly black people that are living inner city neighborhoods, or what people would describe as the hood.
Yeah,
What do they do?
Why are inner city neighborhoods the way that they are?
because of crime, because
Why
of
is crime
immorality.
existing? No, it's because of poverty. Crime is
No,
crime,
it's because of immorality.
no,
Because
crime is
if
directly linked
black
to poverty.
parents, I'm black myself, because if
Right.
black
So
parents
am I.
took care of their children
I'm a-
in the same manner as other ethnicities,
Great.
their
The
black people don't get
internalized-
married. They
The
don't.
internalized white
Most
supremacy
black
is
kids
crazy.
don't even have black fathers.
That's not true.
That's
Per a study by the CDC, black fathers are actually the race that's most likely to be in their children's lives. So try again.
While being married to the mother.
What does it
Is that
matter
what you're
if they're
referring to?
married if they're in the child's life?
Yeah, so they're in the child's life, but so they don't have a two-parent household.
It does. Wait, yeah. In the CDC study, it shows that a lot of them do. A lot of them live with their children. They cohabitate.
They cohabitate. So
Correct.
is crime regardless of the CDC statistics, is crime more prevalent in the hood or in the ghetto?
Yes.
Or in the trailer park?
Because of poverty.
It's because of poverty.
Correct.
So it's to get rid of the police. How would that solve the crime?
The movement to
Who's
abolish
Who's gonna do that
okay.
part then?
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to answer or not. So
Yeah, I do.
the movement of abolition does not call for a direct removal of police immediately. What it calls for is a correction of the systems of policing and prisons, which currently are focused on carceral and retributive justice, and replace them with systems focused on transformative and restorative justice. Transformative
So
justice.
rehab. You want them to go to rehab, right?
I was explaining it to you.
Rehabilitation.
I was explaining it to you before you started talking. So transformative.
Well, I
so
mean, just to get to the
okay.
point, you're
I'm
saying
literally
that you
explaining
believe
to
in a system where rehabilitation overcomes being institutionalized.
So restorative justice is rehab. Transformative justice is not rehabilitation.
So what is
Transfor-
transformative justice?
So as I was explaining before you started talking, transformative justice would be focusing on the systemic issues which cause crime and correcting those systemic issues so that we see the crime rate
So
drop.
poverty,
So we
poverty, right? Poverty. So how do you solve poverty?
There are literally hundreds of ways.
And how do we solve
What's your way
poverty?
of solving poverty? What do you think you should
There's
do?
a million things we can do. We can do universal basic income. We can raise the minimum wage. We can make healthcare free so that people aren't in debt by healthcare.
So you want to make
We
it
can
an
fix
even playing
education.
field, basically, right?
An even playing field? I think
Yeah.
I think everybody should have equal opportunity and equal distribution of.
Well, what if
systemic
I
functions.
want to make a lot of money, way more money than you? Are you stopping on my rights to do that?
What the fuck are you talking about?
You said universal equality. What if I don't want to be
Universal
equal to you?
basic income. What the
What
fuck do you
if I
mean?
don't want to be equal to your income level?
That's not what equality means, you absolute fool.
You buffoon.
Okay, I'll
are
be a
you-
fool. But
are
what
you
if
dumb?
I don't want to
Are
be
you wait, can I
equal?
have a real this is a real serious question. Were you born
Yeah.
dumb or did it take like something to happen in life to make you dumb? To believe that equality means you have equal income to people.
No, I don't. I'm not born dumb, but that's fine. So
Like,
when
what?
you're saying that you want to deal with poverty, you want to do what?
I just explained it. I want to make it so that people aren't disproportionately poor, that there's not a disproportionate wealth gap in the country.
How are you going to do that?
Oh, okay.
You said you want to make it that
no,
way.
Yeah.
How are you going to
Sorry,
do that?
I didn't mean to interrupt you interrupting me. Go ahead.
No, how are you going to? You're saying statements, but you're not saying how you're going to do that.
Uh-huh.
How would you do that?
Damn, it's almost like I was in the middle of answering you when you started talking again.
Okay, go ahead.
Why would I go ahead for the third time for you to just interrupt again?
I mean, you've insulted me several times, and I ignored
Mhm.
that. But I really would like an
Mhm.
answer to
I
how
insult
you
people
would
when
do
they
that.
say yes. I insult people when they interrupt me and say dumb things. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's fine. You just did it again, but that's
Mhm.
fine. How would you do that? How would you level out the playing field for everybody in the United States?
Damn, it's almost like I gave you ways that we can do that already.
You started to give me some ways. I'm waiting
I
for you to
gave
finish
you I
it up,
gave you
though.
multiple ways. I said we can do universal
Sorry about that.
basic income. We can fix the minimum wage. We can make it so that healthcare
What's universal
is free.
basic income?
Exactly what the name says. It's a universal
So it's
basic
a-
income.
Go ahead.
So that everybody has at least a basic income that they receive, so they do not have to deal with like abject poverty.
Regardless if they work or not.
Correct. It would be universal. A universal.
Okay, so you want the
basic
government
income.
to take care of you.
I want the government. Yes, I think the job of the government should
Yes,
be to take care
please.
of its citizens. Yes. Yeah.
No, the job of the government is not to take care of its citizens. The job of the government is to take care of the citizens that need to be taken care of, not everyone.
I believe every person
if you're able
needs
to
be
work,
taken care
you
of.
should get up and work.
What does this
There
mean?
are
I believe
social
every-
safety nets that are out
every
there for
person should be
people
taken
who
care of.
cannot work, and those are the only people that should be allowed to use them.
Yes, social safety
That's
nets
it.
are not comprehensive. They
Strange.
oftentimes lack the proper funding to help every person that needs the help.
Well, it kind of sounds to me like you want the government to be more involved with your life.
Nope, I want the government to provide the basic needs of the people who it governs.
Why can't you provide your own basic needs? That's my
I
question.
can and I do provide my own basic needs. I'm not
So who are you
specifically
fighting
talking
for?
about every single person. I'm fighting for everybody. Every single human being.
Everybody doesn't want to follow you.
Did I
everybody
say-
doesn't
what
want-
the fuck
I-
did
I don't want-
Who has to follow me?
I
What
don't
the
want
fuck?
universal basic care.
Okay, so don't get
Good
it.
for
then.
you.
Opt out of it.
Well, I
Say-
mean, if it's the
say
very term
opt out.
universal
Fucking
means the
fuck you
uniformity.
immediately. So opt out of it. You think we
I
won't
have
give? You
to
think we
opt
won't
out
give?
of being taken care of by the government. I
You
should
have to opt-
opt in
You would
to be
no, you
taken
would
care
have
of by
to,
the
you would
government.
opt out of a universal basic income. If you don't want it, tell the government you don't want it. Work all day. I don't care.
If you don't want it, you don't
When
want
we
it,
sit
buddy.
Here and talk about these policies, right? These policies are being created because there's a giant wealth disparity in this in the world. 1%
Where is
of
game?
the global population owns 63%
Why
of the
game?
global wealth.
Where's
Most
game?
people in the
And?
world
There's no game.
only make $2,000 a year. If
Who
you don't
makes
give
$2,000 a year?
this is the average income of people in the world. This is the worldwide
In the
average
world.
income. Yep.
So when you say universal basic needs, you mean you would like for the world
Yes.
have
I
universal
don't
basic
think
needs,
I
not
think
the
there
United
shouldn't.
States.
Yep. I don't believe that anybody should suffer in the world. I think everybody in a world where we have enough resources,
You
everybody
don't
should
think
be
people
given.
should suffer? Wow. So if a person is lazy,
I'm sorry.
they
do you
don't
think,
get up,
I'm
they
sorry,
don't
you
go to
think
work,
people should
they shouldn't
fucking?
suffer?
You think people should suffer?
Yes. If they don't work,
You're such a piece of shit, dog.
yes. If you're capable of
You're just straight
working
up a
and you
piece of
don't
shit.
get up and work, you should suffer.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. I mean, great.
That
good for
makes you a bad
Well,
person.
I'm a piece of shit because
not to virtue signal,
because
but yes,
I'm
you're a
piece
bad
of shit
person.
because I believe people should work
not
for what
not
they
to
want.
virtue signal, but yeah, you're a bad person. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I'm a bad person
Yeah,
just because I think people that are able-bodied people and could work, and they are suffering, and they will not pull themselves out of suffering, then that makes me the bad person.
correct. Yeah, you are a bad
Mhm.
person.
Wow. So do you see how you figured out a way to turn reality upside down?
No, the reality is still the same.
No.
No,
The
the
reality
I don't know what
reality
you're
is,
talking
and
about.
if you,
Still the
if
same.
I have children, and the reality is, if my child does not go to school and apply himself at school, he will get bad grades. And if he gets bad grades, it's his fault. The reality is that when my son
It's your
decides
kid's
to marry
fault that
whoever
your
he
kid
decides
got
to
bad.
marry,
That's not even
and if
true.
he doesn't go get a job
You
to
should
take care
have
of his
helped your
family
child
and
not get bad
suffering,
grades.
that's his fault.
Yeah, except that when you look at
This is
a
coming from the
capitalist
same
system,
people
the fault is
that,
actually
like, the same
on
conservatives that,
us.
like,
It's with the
love to
1%
say,
who are
well,
hoarding
I
the
can't
wealth.
wait for, like,
Do you
my
think
kids
that-
to
do you
actually
think
take
that-
care
no,
of me in
stop
my
that.
old age.
Do you
It's
think
like,
that's? Do you think
why,
so? 63%
how are they going
of
to take
all
care of
wealth
you in
is
your
given
old
to
age when you
1%
didn't
of
even
people.
help them in
So
their young, in their youth?
you believe
You didn't even
that
help them when they were young. Why would they take care of you?
4%, or I'm sorry, 37% of wealth can be evenly divided between
would be the point of
99% of
that?
people?
I don't believe in dividing wealth, period.
Yeah, because you're a piece of shit. You think that
Well,
that it
I
doesn't.
mean, you can call me a name. That's just
Yeah,
my
no,
opinion.
this
See,
isn't
this
calling
is the
you.
thing
This
with
isn't
me.
calling you a name.
You
This
keep
is
going
inferring,
to
no,
name calling.
This isn't calling you a name.
You
this
keep
is
going to name
inferring-
calling
no,
because-
this isn't calling
ahead.
you a name. It's inferring based on the things you're saying. So what you're claiming right now
You
is
can
that it
dress the
doesn't
pig
matter.
up. You can
no,
pay the pig
what you're
all
saying
kinds
right
of ways.
now.
Still a
What you're
pig.
saying right now. What you're saying. You know, I'm absolutely insulting you. Yeah, 100%. But I'm insulting
I don't-
you
it
based
doesn't
on.
bother me.
I'm insulting you
But
based
go
on the
ahead.
shit that you're saying. You're making this claim
sounds like it
that it
clearly
doesn't
bothers
matter
him.
how much wealth is being
Doesn't
taken
bother
from the
me
people
that
that
you're
are
being
actually
mean.
generating the
They're
wealth.
they're not taking anything. Those people,
The 1% of
anybody
people
that
are
does not
taking.
have wealth,
Explain to me why.
anybody
Explain to me
that does
why.
not have
Explain
wealth,
to me why.
you don't deserve it.
Explain to me why the cost of living has risen, the cost of goods has risen, the cost of everything has gone up, but worker pay has remained stagnant.
It's called
Explain to me why
inflation.
that.
It's called
Explain to me
inflation.
why how inflation goes up
Economics
when worker pay
101.
remains. Okay, dummy. If you keep interrupting, you're gonna keep sounding
Dummy.
If you keep
That's
interrupting,
fine.
you're gonna keep sounding stupid. If the cost of living and the cost of goods rises, but the cost of worker pay doesn't, what
finally.
happens to the worker?
What happens to them? You tell me.
Kind of simple math. If the cost
Okay,
to
say that
buy
again.
things rises, but the cost of your pay stays the same, what happens?
I don't know. You go get more money.
You just get more money. You just gotta.
That's what happens. See, what
Again,
the thing that I'm about
people want to
is
go.
I'm
People want to
about
go. Well, Jovan, why do you keep
fiscal
insulting? Why do you keep insulting
you don't-
Jovan? Because he
hold on,
says
hold
dumb
on.
shit
I
like
didn't
this.
interrupt you.
Because he
I
says
didn't
dumb shit
interrupt
like
you,
this,
Mr.
Jack.
Jovan.
You want to say why do you keep interrupting? Because you keep saying dumb shit like, well, you should just go work more.
Well,
should just
okay,
get
well,
money.
okay. So
Come on,
Cost
let's
of
just
pay.
get money
everything
and
that
get
I'm saying
bitches.
is
Come on now.
dumb.
We all
that
know
means you
this.
don't respect my opinion, which goes further
course I
to
don't.
say that I would
Why-
never
why-
want
why?
to live in a society where I have to be intellectually as smart as you because of your ideas.
I'd like
That
you
makes
to.
me dumb.
I'd like you to just be smart. Period.
Oh, well, everything it's all about objectivity. For you, I'm not smart because I don't agree with you. I'm everything in the book because I don't agree with you.
I don't care if you agree with me, but when I say worker pay has remained stagnant for the last like 15 years, and you go, well,
Go
go
get another
get more
job.
money. So yeah, so you would rather people have to work multiple
Yes.
jobs. But were you not the person that's saying people need to be in the homes with the kids? How are they going to be in the home with the kids if they're working
Yes,
multiple jobs?
they need to go to work. Their
How are
child
they
needs
going to be
see them
home with the
going to work.
kids if they're
That's
working
how you
multiple
make
jobs?
That is how you.
How are they
you
gonna be
contribute
home with
to-
the kids if they're working multiple jobs?
Nobody should sit at home with their kids all day.
So you don't actually want people home with the kids like you said earlier.
No, I want a man to wake up in
And
the
Chad,
morning,
you keep
go to
asking me
work,
why I
come
say- why I
home,
call him stupid,
spend
Chad.
time with his children.
How
go
is he
to
gonna
bed at a
come
decent
home and
hour so
spend
he can
time
wake
with his
up and go back to
children?
work in the morning.
How is he going to spend time with his children if he has to work multiple jobs? If he's working a
Well,
full-time
that's
job,
the thing.
if he's
you
spending
have to
40
work multiple
exactly.
jobs, that means you need to go get yourself educated and get.
How's
some
he gonna
paperwork so
go
that
get
you
an
can better yourself.
education if he doesn't have the money to pay for an education?
Financial aid. The government offers financial aid for low
So
income
you
people.
think
100% of the day.
No, they again.
no
We've
excuse.
already talked about how these programs are not comprehensive. They're not available to everyone, and they have cutoff points. You've already agreed that they're not comprehensive and available to everybody. So again,
No,
if
I
you make,
haven't agreed
if
to
you
that.
make if you make just over the threshold, right? So that you are now working, you're working 2 jobs. So now you're making over the threshold to pay for your kids, right? You're working 2 full-time jobs so that your kids can eat. You go, well, you need to go to school. When are they going to study?
Mm-hmm.
They're working 2 full-time jobs and they have kids. When are they studying? When are they going to
I
study?
have a full-time job. I'm getting ready to graduate from school with my cybersecurity degree. I have a daughter that works, and she goes to
you
work
have a
every
daughter,
day. I have
you have a
son
daughter that works. That's amazing. I'm glad that you have a daughter that works. So that means you can do the job, your full-time job, and go to school because you have a daughter that works. But what about people that have 1 or 2
No.
kids
My
that are
daughter
still
doesn't
in
pay
school?
bills. I
I'm
take
not
care of
saying
my
that
daughter.
she's paying bills,
And
but
she
you don't
doesn't
have
get
to.
any
I'm not
financial
saying that
assistance
you're
from the
paying. I'm
government.
not saying that you're paying bills. I'm saying you don't need to get child care because she's old enough to go to work. What about the people who need child care?
I raised her since she was a child. I've
Like,
never had to.
so how
I've
long-
had issues with. I've had issues
Again.
with finances, with paying bills. I've
Yes,
never
I
depended
love-
on the government
I love-
or
I
any
love,
other
love,
man
love.
to instruct me or
Uh-huh.
to give me anything.
Yes,
I got
love
up off
so
my
much
ass
that survivorship
and I got
bias
it for
is-
myself.
Yes, I love that you're able to work out your survivorship bias and go, well, because I made it through, everybody should be able to make it through.
No,
but
you
there's
should stop
more
whining
poor
about
people.
not being able to make
Yeah,
it through.
and you should give a
If you
shit
can't
about
make
people.
it through,
That-
be
you should-
yourself.
I don't know how to.
Be
I don't know how to
able
tell.
to not make it
I don't know how to
through.
tell
But
you
don't
this,
throw
but you
your
should care about
lazy
people.
taxes
I don't know how to tell you
onto
this.
other people.
I don't know how to tell you this, but you should give a shit about other people. I don't know how to.
If you don't
Like,
think I give a shit, then
empathy
that's your
is
fault.
not-
I don't
you
have
clearly
to justify.
don't. You
See, this is
clearly
the
don't give a
difference
shit. What do you
between me and you.
mean?
I don't have to justify what I say. I don't need people to pat me on the back. That's the definition of waking up and going
You
to work
did just-
in the morning.
you did just
You
need
have
someone
a
That's the
to pat you on the back.
mentality
definition.
that states
You
that
did
if
just-
people don't
you
agree
did
with
just-
you,
I
they're
remember
dumb,
these guys
they're
love
need someone to pat
definitions.
you on the back.
and all the things that you say, which is a liberal leftist attitude. And that's fine. You can say that those type of things
You
because
did
this
just.
is a free
You literally
country.
did. You
I
literally
was in the
did just need someone
military.
to pat you on the back.
I fought
Conservatives
for
love
your right to
definitions. We
beg.
all know it.
Yeah, you did. You quite literally did just need someone to pat you on the back. That's why when I was talking
No,
about people,
I don't need
Oh
you
my
to pat on me on the
fucking
back.
Christ.
I don't care if you pat me on the back.
Then you
but
know
I
what?
fought
You know what
for
I don't
your
want to
right
hear.
to beg.
Yeah, okay. This is again you asking for people to pat you on the back. You're like, well, I fought for your right to do
No,
that. I don't give a fuck
I fought
what
for
right you
your
fought
right
for. I
to
didn't ask you to
beg.
fight for shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if you're
I
in the
know you
military.
didn't ask
I
for
don't
it.
care.
You didn't
I
ask
don't
for it.
care.
You didn't
Oh,
ask for it.
care.
That
wait,
doesn't
so
matter.
if we didn't
I'm still
ask for you to
It
go
means quite
fight,
literally all but-
why do we
all but
have to
fuck all,
respect
homie.
you?
When every time I've pointed you out of contradiction,
He's the one
in your
that said
logic,
it. He
you
just
fucking
said,
obviously
yeah, you didn't
need some
ask for
No,
it,
nonsense.
but then
you
he's
can't
asking for
contradict hard
respect.
work, man.
There is no hard work, dummy. Some people,
Yes, there are men that go out and work
Christ.
hard every day and they do not complain.
They should.
They
They
like
shouldn't
it.
have.
They should complain.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
If they're
Yes,
working
they
No,
like
they
it.
don't. No,
hard,
they don't.
Men like to work hard.
No, they
I
don't.
know you,
No,
you wouldn't
Why is
believe
That's
it.
the
not
why is the
true.
male suicide rate so hard if they love so high if they love hard work?
Why is the male suicide rate so
Yeah,
high?
why is the suicide rate so
Maybe
high if they
because
love
y'all
hard
try
work?
to. Maybe because y'all try to make masculinity a bad thing in the world.
If there's
You
if,
want to
wait, if masculinity's so good, why does it matter what we say about it? That wouldn't mean make them kill themselves.
Come on.
It
Why
doesn't matter.
Why
That's
is
the
the male?
definition of masculinity.
Why is one
Not
of the
The
constant,
definition
why
of
is one of the
masculinity,
constant
bro.
reasons studied?
They
in
just
the
like
male
saying the word
suicide
definition
being
is like a
pressures from
thing that
work.
is like.
Why
That's
is that
that's
constantly listed as
the
one of the
most
reasons
solid
of male suicide?
argument.
You was raised without a
Is-
dad without
Why
telling
is,
me you was
why
raised
is
without a
Labeling
dad.
something
yeah,
as
you
the
see, that's an
definition of this
obfuscation. Answer-
thing.
Address the point. You can't address the point.
Like you've never
So you know
picked
there's
up a
I'm a-
dictionary
you
in
know
your
there's a-
life.
no, you
That's
didn't.
why they always
No,
have
you
to
didn't.
go to
You
the
know there's a-
dictionary.com
The
website.
fun fact is when I
If you
insult
were
you,
married,
here's
if
the
you,
fun
if
fact.
my
Here's
daughter
the fun
brought
fact.
you
Here's
home
the fun fact.
with
I
the
don't want
type
your
of
daughter.
ideas you
I don't want
have,
your daughter. I
I
don't want
would
your daughter.
be afraid for
I don't
her
want your daughter.
life.
I don't give a fuck about your daughter. I don't want your daughter. I don't care about your fucking
That's
daughter.
fine. But if she
Here's
brought
the
somebody
difference.
home
Here's
like
the
you that
here's the beautiful
whines,
difference. Here's the beautiful
I
difference.
would be
Here's the
afraid
beautiful
for
difference.
her life.
Here's the beautiful. I'm afraid for her life with a dad like you. But here's the fucking difference.
No,
When
no.
Here's the difference.
She's a
Here's
happy,
the difference.
She's a happy girl.
Here,
and
you want
she
to hear
does
the?
what
I'm
she
sure.
wants to do,
Yeah, I'm sure.
And she's
Here's
going
the.
to school, and she
Yep, I'm
does what
sure.
she wants to do, and
Yeah,
she
I'm
doesn't
sure.
cry.
Yeah, I'm
She's
sure.
a female, but she
yeah.
doesn't cry.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I think it's great to have a dad who calls his
You
daughter
should
a
be
female.
embarrassed, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not.
How
Here's the
does
fun
it
fact.
feel
Here's
to
the
wake
fun
up every
fact.
morning
Here's the fun fact.
and want something
Here's
from
the fun
somebody
fact.
else?
Here's the fun fact. Every time I insult you, I do it while addressing the nonsensical points that you make. Every
I don't
time
care
you
about your
every
insult.
time you insult
How does
me,
it feel
every
to
time
wake
you
up in the
insult
morning
me,
knowing you're
yep,
gonna beg
I'm
somebody
gonna keep
for something?
talking. I'm gonna
As
keep
a man.
talking. I'm gonna keep talking. Every time you insult me, you do it because you don't have an answer to the points I bring up.
No,
this is
I'm
the
asking
difference
you a
in
real
us.
question.
This is the difference in us.
How
Right? This
does
is the
it
difference
feel
in
to
us.
be a man?
The difference is I'm addressing your points and explaining why they're stupid and why you're stupid for having them, and you just can't
Okay, that's
fathom an
fine.
argument,
But
so you
I'm
just
asking
make
you a
up
question.
shit.
How do you feel as a man when you wake up in the morning?
Amazing. I
ready
feel
to
great.
beg somebody for
I feel
something?
I feel great literally every morning. I love it. I
How
love
do
it.
you
Okay.
feel
I
as a
think you're a
man when
shitty
you
person.
wake up in
That's
the morning?
wonderful. Address the arguments that I brought up. Address the
Yeah,
actual
I
arguments.
think
What
that
does that
you're
even
Address the
mean?
yeah.
I wouldn't
Address
put
the
you in
argument.
That's like the
charge of
that's like the
anything
fucking
because
address
you
the
might not
guy
be
that's
able to
like,
handle it.
Not addressing
this
the argument.
morning I woke up and
That's
thank
fine.
I'm waiting for you
fucking
to address the
God I
argument.
woke up because this morning I
The
woke up.
argument, there is no argument.
There's been multiple
this
arguments.
is just simple reality.
There has been multiple
If you don't
arguments.
work
Yeah.
for what you
Oh,
want, you don't
God.
deserve it.
I've made multiple arguments that you've not addressed. Are you going to address any of them?
You're welcome.
If you don't work for what you want, you
Got-
don't deserve
Got
it.
nothing to do with the argument I brought up.
Go to this one.
Yes, it does. You think
Quite
you
literally
think
doesn't.
you need a universal
It's not an
basic
addressal of the argument.
income.
Yep,
That's
not addressing the
ridiculous.
argument. Here we go again. Not addressing the argument. I'll keep
Okay.
waiting. I'll keep waiting unless you don't have an
Tell
answer,
me you
which
was
I
raised
assume
without.
you don't.
I mean, I can
Yes,
tell by
tell
the
me
way
you
you
was
talk.
raised. It's you not
You
having an
haven't been
argument.
around
Yep.
any men. You
Yep,
get
it's
your
not-
ideas
yep.
from women.
Again, you You not addressing the argument. There we go. Again, doing it again.
All right.
Doing it again.
All right, bud.
Refusing to address the argument.
No, I'm done talking. I'm done talking. I actually have things to do.
You seem to be
But that's why I
continuing
called
talking.
in.
For somebody who's
Your
done
moderator,
talking,
he
you keep
kicked
talking.
me out a lot. But that's fine.
For somebody who's done talking, you
Now,
keep talking.
I want you to have a good day. And when you wake up in the morning,
For
start
somebody
thinking about
who's
how
done
you can
talking,
better
you keep
yourself
talking.
without begging.
For somebody who's done talking,
Conservatives are really like obsessed with waking up.
All right. You have a blessed and beautiful day, my man.
have the day you deserve.
Oh yeah, let's do this. Oh shit, orbital lasers.
X rather than Y. I did X and Y. So an ad hom would be if I did X rather than doing Y, I did both.
Oh,
Therefore,
shit.
it's not an ad hom because I addressed the argument while insulting you. I didn't address the I didn't insult you rather than
That
addressing
is
the argument.
100% what ad hominem is. In the use of
It's
an
unfortunately
adverb,
not.
it is in a way that
It's
is directed
unfortunately not.
against the person rather
Now,
than the position
Rather,
they are maintaining.
rather,
that is ad
I
hominem.
addressed your
Shit, you
position
gotta be fucking
every
kidding
time.
me,
I
bro.
have addressed
No, it's not
your
ad hominem.
position yes, because I addressed your argument.
No,
It was
that's
not a
so
rather.
wrong, dude.
No, because I
You're
addressed
so
your
wrong.
argument, it
If
was
you
not a
have hands
rather.
and feet.
Yeah, now you just looked
If
dumb
you
because
have
you don't know how to
hands
read the
and
definition.
feet,
No,
Can I
why
say you
did you
don't have
revive?
feet because you
You
have
could have
hands?
just come back. Oh my god.
What the fuck are you
Or do you have
talking about?
hands and
The
feet?
definition of hands of feet isn't having X without rather than having Y. That's not the definition of feet, stupid. The definition of an ad hom
So if
is
you
to
if
address.
you do two things,
You're
if you
so
were to
stupid.
drive your car and then get on a train, would you have just driven your car,
What are you talking about?
or did you also get on the train too?
What are you talking about? This is not how
If
words
you drove
work.
your
Do
car
you
to
not
the
know
train
words?
station to get on the train to go somewhere,
Maybe
would
you know what?
have
Let me
just
let me
drove your
slow
car
it down.
there?
Let me slow it down because
Or
maybe
would
you
you
just
have
don't
drove your
understand the
car
English
and
language.
took a train?
Let me slow it down because maybe you just don't understand the English language. Ad
No,
hominem.
you do not
Ad
understand.
hominem is
If you do
directing an
one,
attack
it does
at a
not mean-
person. Ad hominem, directing attack at a person rather than the
Oh,
position.
I tried.
Now, what I did was address your position completely,
That's
and then I
that's
insulted
the
you.
adjective way, not the adverb. There's
What are
multiple
you
ways that ad
talking
hominem
You
is used
told
there, smart
you.
guy.
Oh my God.
According to the
Smart,
Oxford
what are you
Language
talking
Sure.
Dictionary.
Let's look at the
How about that?
adverb.
How about you
Number
pull it up on
one.
your-
How
How about
Oxford
you type it up on your Google and see how
Dictionary,
different-
definitions,
how the different
Oxford
uses of ad
languages,
hominem are.
adverb, one, in a way that is directed against a person rather than the position they are maintaining.
Right, that's exactly what you did. When you
No,
insult me personally
I
because of my
addressed
beliefs, that
your
is ad
position.
hominem.
I insulted you and addressed your position. I didn't insult you rather than addressing your position. I insulted you
But you still
and
did though, right?
addressed your position. Yeah, I never claimed I didn't insult you, stupid. Never once
That's
said
ad
that.
hominem
It's not an ad hom if I address your argument.
in a way that relates or associates with a particular person. Adverb number 2.
You
That
read
doesn't say
half of
rather
it.
at all anywhere there, bud.
You read half of
What
it.
the fuck are you
So if you're
talking
calling
about?
me
That's
stupid as an association
That's
of
not
what
the
we are,
second
or what I
definition.
am
The
because of my
second
opinion, that is
definition
ad
isn't
hominem.
talking about ad homs in
How much
debates.
clearer does it
It's a
get?
completely different. What
my
the fuck are you
goodness.
talking about?
How much clearer does
What
it
the fuck are
get?
you
It's a
talking about?
different
You
fucking
do
use
not
of the
know-
word,
Do
you
you not know that
dumbass.
definitions?
By
Do you
the
not know that
Oxford
sometimes?
language.
Do you not know that sometimes words have different definitions because they're used in different contexts?
Did
So
you not
ad
know
hom
that?
In the
Did you
second
just not
adverb
know that?
definition,
So it doesn't
which is
apply that
in a
way.
way that relates to or is associated
No,
with a particular
what, like,
person,
if you
is
knew
different than
that,
this.
then why
Hence,
did
the
you
example
say
they
it?
give in the word
You're just
with
trying to win the
sentence is
argument.
The office was created ad
Like,
hominem
what?
for Fenton.
If you want to win
That
the
has nothing
argument,
to do
win it with
what we're
actual
talking about,
fucking
which is ad
logical
hominem as a debate
facts.
fallacy. Are you looking batshit, fam? Holy shit, dog. How about instead
know.
of this?
What
How about
college
instead
did
of
you
this
go to that
fucking?
brainwashed
How about
you into this
instead of?
crazy
How about
shit?
instead of all of this fucking obfuscating,
Brainwashed
you
you,
just
bro.
answered the
Did you go to
fucking
college?
questions that were originally
Because
You have
laid
a
out.
college
degree?
is famously
Do you have a degree in
brainwash
bullshit or
people,
something?
bro.
See, you still keep going instead of addressing the argument. You're now going on
Do you
to
have a
other
degree in
things.
bullshit?
I don't give a fuck what my degree is in. Address the argument I laid out for you previously.
What in the
Or
hell?
go debate a wall. Like, pick. If you
Go
don't want to
debate
address
a
arguments,
fucking
go debate a
wall.
wall.
Address arguments.
Yup, I've laid out multiple arguments for you, and none of them have been addressed. None. Quite literally, none of them.
You're stupid.
You haven't addressed a single argument.
You're stupid.
You.
So all these-
That's
all
an
these
ad
department
hoc.
stores, too,
That's
that
an
are saying
ad
that they're
hoc.
leaving closing stores because of theft.
I asked you
that has
for.
nothing to do
You
with
didn't
I asked for
address the
evidence of
argument. You
this,
just
and
called.
all we've been
You
able
just,
to pull
you just
up
called them
is
stupid.
evidence that department stores are leaving because in-person shopping is harder to fund than online shopping. So provide me evidence of a mass exodus
Okay,
of
here.
apartment stores.
So, but you say I
Due to
can't search
theft.
for it. When I search for a store
Yes,
closing
because
of
when
theft,
you
won't
search,
let me search for it.
because you don't know how to search without confirmation bias. I can't believe we're back to this.
So I can't
There's
search
no
for
way.
stores closing because of theft.
If you
What-
search
how about
stores
this?
closing because of theft,
What
yeah,
if it
it's
says
gonna tell
department
you.
store
Holy
announces
shit.
they're closing because of theft?
Holy shit!
Is that
dog. What?
confirmation bias?
If your
Or
search
is that
was
just
apartment stores closing because of theft, department stores closing because of theft, yes, that is confirmation bias. But if you want me to read the article, I will.
What if
but
it
when
says
we look at
department store announces?
here we go.
They actually say it. That's the reason why.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. We're still here. We're still here.
On September 26th, Target set off a national firestorm when it said it would be closing 9 stores in 4 states because of theft and
9
organized
stores is a
retail
mass
crime.
exodus.
Is that confirmation bias?
9 stores is a mass. How many
Or
stores
is that
does
just
Target have?
actual fact?
How many stores does Target have? How many?
More than
Enough to have
9.
a problem where they need to close some because of theft.
1,958. So they closed 9 stores, and you believe there's an epidemic of crime because 9 out of 2,000 stores closed.
It's more than 0, isn't it? How about this one? 26 stores are leaving New York
Have I?
because of
I
theft.
just. Can you answer a question? Have I
48
said that?
stores
Have I
leaving
said that there
San
are
Francisco because
0?
of theft.
Wait, can you answer this question? Have I said that there is 0 theft in the country? Have I said this? Have I said that there's 0 theft? No, I didn't. I said that when we look at the percentages of stores closing, the bulk of stores closing are not due to theft related. The majority of stores closing are due
It's
to.
the theft, says Macy's staff after store announces it's closing.
Oh,
Employees
wow,
at San
cool.
Francisco Union Square neighborhood say
Except
rampant
when we
theft is
look,
blaming-
except
is
when
the
we
blame
look
for
at
the
the
retail
actual
closing its
reason
stores.
Macy's gave.
That's
when we look,
confirmation
when we
bias?
look
The
at the
store
reason,
physically saying
yeah,
it?
I don't care what the staff of a store said. The reason Macy's gave for closing the stores was not
It's
theft.
a
It was.
CNN article.
I'm not. Are you fucking dumb? I did not say that the CNN article is misquoting the staff. The staff could absolutely say, hey, we believe that the store is closing due to theft. Sure. This isn't empirical evidence of the store actually closing that because the staff aren't the ones who made the decision to close the store. The staff at the store don't know the actual reason the store is closing. But when we look at what Macy's has said, they've said that they're shuttering stores that are unproductive to make way for higher end stores. So they're closing
No,
stores.
Macy's
they're
didn't say that.
closing-
That was the article's opinion on it.
You want to bet? Do you want to bet?
Yeah, what'd you search to get that? I'll pull it up right now.
Macy'sInc.com, Macy's fourth quarter report for 2023, their fourth quarter report, where they said that they are closing their lower end stores because the stores that are making money are the stores that are selling higher end items. So they're closing their lower end stores
Target,
and opening
Walmart,
up,
and
opening
Nike
up
announced closures of
higher
stores in
end
face of retail theft.
higher end products. So this is another
$112 billion
fucking smash.
in
And
theft
all of this, you
in
know the best part?
2022
You know the
alone.
best part? None of this addresses the original argument, which was that theft-related crime is due to poverty, which is what I said at the start of this. If you want to lower theft-related crime,
Why aren't they closing in states that enforce the law and do not allow theft? Why are they not closing in states that don't have these crazy laws where you
what are
need
you
to
talking
steal
about?
X amount of dollars?
They're closing in stores with
Why are
more
they not
people
closing in those
because
states?
they're closing in the states that have a higher population of people because there's going to be more crime in states with higher populations.
They're not closing in Florida.
You want to bet?
They're not closing in Florida because of
You want to
that.
bet?
You
wanna
think
bet?
Florida is it rich or poor?
You want to bet?
Yeah,
You want
show
to bet
show
me?
somewhere
You
in
want to
Florida
bet me
they're
that
closing.
stores aren't closing? Macy's shut down 150 stores, some of which were in Florida. Walmart, the place you're
Yeah,
claiming
you
is
already
shutting down
said
stores. Let's
that
even look at
confirms your
Walmart.
thing though. Macy's says the online thing. Macy's has nothing to do with that. That you're going back. to
Yes,
the stuff
but
you
your
already-
claim is that they did. Come on.
No, I
Walmart's
said
closing.
because of
Walmart's
theft.
of
They're
the
not closing because
150
of theft.
of the 154 stores closing. Oh no, here we go. Of the 23 stores Walmart closed in 2003, some were in Florida. In 2023, sorry, there were Walmarts in Florida. Actually, let's look at the Walmarts that it closed. Arkansas, not a blue state. Georgia, not a fucking blue state. Florida, fucking not a blue state. Kansas, I don't think Kansas is a blue state. Minnesota, never heard of Minnesota being a blue state. Wow, it actually looks like
100% blue.
Sure, if Minnesota's blue, sure. But of the 23 stores that Walmart closed during 2023, a bunch of which were in this is WFTV.com/news/trending/Walmart will be closing 23 stores this year. Here's a list. And if you want, you can go look at Walmart. You can go there's the list of stores they closed. There's the list of stores they closed, some of which are in red states. So this idea that they're not closing stores in red states is ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous.
2024 it is. All right, let me see. It says California, Maryland,
Wait,
Ohio.
if I get 20 levels.
Let me see. I need to pull up an article. I want to get in the preview of that.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
1,000 locations. Let's see where they're at.
12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Shit.
Yeah, apparently Ohio's
Money,
red.
you gotta be
Ohio's
kidding
a
me.
blue
Oh,
state
I'm
now,
so
apparently.
close. What the
It's always been a blue
fuck?
state. Yeah.
I just want to be the Evangelion. No, not the Evangelion. The Fooly Cooly character.
Let's see the voting history for Ohio. Yeah, it's a swing state. It's like 50% both ways. But the real thing is who's in control of passing the laws? Do they have a Congress that's blue? Or
Ohio is Republican right now. They voted Republican for Nixon. They voted. In fact, here, hold on.
No, it's like an even split. 2020 was 53%.
Ohio is like memed on
doesn't
for
make it not a
being
red state. A red state means that when we say something is a red
being
state,
a red
we
state.
mean that Republican lawmakers are the ones who get elected in said state, not that people are 50-50 voting. That's not what a red state means.
Okay, U.S. Senate voting history, U.S. House voting history.
And now we're just moved on to another
Governing voting
Oh my
history.
goodness. We can't stay on track.
So governor makes determination. Is that what you're thinking? So let's see this though. Ohio laws on retail.
Ohio was red in 2020, red in 2016, red in 2012, and red in 2008. Seems like a pretty red state, my guy.
Ohio shoplifting in Ohio.
Ohio, shitty fucking Ohio.
It has to be more than $1,000 for them to call the police in Ohio.
What?
That doesn't sound like a red policy to me.
So I can steal an. Yeah, but you just claimed that some of the stores closing are in Ohio.
Ew, fuck this shit.
Yeah, that's why we got onto Ohio to begin with.
I thought I said Ohio was a red state, or Ohio's a blue state.
Yes, but when you were reading the list, Ohio was on the list, and you said these are blue states, and you said Ohio, which is not a blue state.
No, yeah, I said one Columbus. Is Columbus blue though? Is the city of Columbus blue?
Still being closed in a red state.
Is Columbus a blue city though?
Oh, so now we're on to cities. So now it's not about. So now it's not about the state's policies. It's about the individual cities' policies.
No, it's about the laws that they pass. It's specifically about the laws they pass. I guess that's generalizing. I guess you caught me on that. It's kind of generalizing and being what would it be? Prejudice for policies on that one. But still, that doesn't get back to the point that California is listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and then Ohio.
Okay, I don't know what that has a point to do.
What is California red?
No, California's not red. California
Those
has
stores,
more
Baltimore,
people.
Maryland.
They have higher densely populated. None of this addresses the fact that when it comes to crime, specifically crimes of poverty, right? crimes of poverty are directly tied to, you know what the formula for property crime is? It's poverty plus proximity equals crime. That's the formula that you learn in like just starting out in criminal justice, that a poorer, more densely populated area is typically going to see more property crime than a wealthier, sparsed out area. So it does not shock me.
So is that because of systemic racism then, or what?
Part of it is. The other part is that
you probably believe that too, right?
Okay, so
what the fuck?
This is another pivot. We're pivoting again. Now we're pivoting to systemic racism.
It has nothing to do with the laws, like if they're arresting
I'm not
people,
talking about. We're not discussing the reason for the systemic poverty.
So didn't your governor DeSantis announce that people are going to be, if they steal something, even for $20, they'll face up to 365.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, people are still going to steal things for $20. Here's the fun. Here's the fun fact.
What?
You know when we had the death penalty, and we were like, "Yo, if you do X, we're going to kill you." People still did X. They don't care about the punishment. Hence why our prison population has raised from 200,000 people to 2 million people since 1970.
The law saying you could kill people, do you think that murder would go up or down?
I think murder would probably rise, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of that one artist? What is the name of that one artist? The artist that made what is the name of the artist? Norman Rockwell. There we go. No, that's not it. There it is. There it is. Ah, yes, yes. Let's find a good one, shall we? Let's see here. Would you look at that? Well, as long as I'm not the first one to do it. Yes. Norman Rockwell. Yes, interesting. Let's see, this one? That looks good to me. Let's grab that. Put that on the desktop. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. You don't want to give me the fucking image then? I know how to get around your little tomfoolery. Alright. This is a window. What? What do I have to use? Do I have to use fucking this? Oh, wait. What the hell? What's going on here? What the fuck? Oh, okay. Great. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Why does this application not show up in OBS? That's what I'm not understanding. I don't understand. Why are we here? Just to suffer. Do I have to pull out the fucking camera for this? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh, maybe if I do this? Let me see here. What the hell is happening?
So exactly.
No, no. Bro, what the fuck is this? Why is it not doing the thing? Why is it not showing the application? What? Why are you not doing this? Oh, okay. I have to do it in Windows 10. Oh, okay. Like, what? What? You're fucking kidding me with this shit, bro. Okay. Well, now I know how to do that, so... Put this back where it was. Get rid of that. Bring this back up. Over here. Never mind. Oh, I see. Okay. Alright, there it is. Pull out the little drawing pad if you don't mind. Come over here, you rapscallion. What the f is this thing stuck on something? Bro, what? the hell? What is this? Oh my goodness. Fine. Whatever. It's called adaptation. You ever fucking hear about it? Alright, hold on. Okay, give me a second here. Let me find a good one. Yeah, see that new Transformer trailer? I thought it was pretty interesting. It's an origin story for the best Transformers characters, Optimus Prime and Megatron. Which I assume Optimus isn't a Prime yet, because Prime is a title. Just considering the way they look in the beginning. Looks interesting. I'm interested. It's clearly for kids, but so is the fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And I still watch that shit. I've always been like a secretly huge fan of specifically like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Transformers. Just always, like throughout my life, I've always enjoyed the two. I even remember watching like the original Transformers show. I was kind of hooked. It looked pretty cool. But they didn't play it often enough for me to like actually watch through it, which kind of sucks. It's cool though. I think I even saw the episode where like Optimus Prime dies, and I was like, what the fuck? Why would they show that? What the fuck? Let's see here. This is a good one. Gotta love that one. That's a great one. I don't think I've seen this one. Okay, and then we're gonna move toward... Oh, I don't really have many. I don't really have much of that, do I? That's a shame. Most of that side of YouTube is, in shorts now. It's kind of crazy. Oh, here's a good one. Good. Let's see what else we got. Hmm. I love that one. That's a good one. Fits the. Um. Not sure if we've seen that one. That's a classic one. Okay. Ooh, good one. Ooh, yeah, this one too. Okay. Okay. Does this have a shuffle feature? Or do I have to save? I think I have to do that. Great. Got a playlist. Where are you? Where are you? Alright, there it is. And then we'll shuffle. Um... Hold on, I'm gonna... Let me, crop this. Ooh, actually, I can straight up rip the crop from this. Where's the crop feature? Snap a picture of this. Okay. And this should make it easier to crop this. Look at that. Now I can make it like 10 times bigger. That's crazy. That's sick. Okay. Mute. Sorry, I'm muting my lo-fi. volume's good.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
This is Lord Farquaad. While he may seem like just another unserious character in an animated kids movie, there's more to him than one might initially believe. Every aspect of Farquaad was crafted with meticulous intent, from his insidious worldview to his perfectly maintained castle. Farquaad is a much more compelling villain than he has any right to be. But perhaps the most interesting aspect of his character, and indeed the whole movie, is the spiteful, real-world rivalry that allegedly motivated it.
What is that? Ugh, it's hideous.
Oh, that's not very nice. It's just
a
a donkey.
But before we get into the details, be sure you like this video and subscribe to Nerdstalgic if you're into deep dives like this. At this point, we can all agree that DreamWorks' Shrek is more than the sum of its earwax-laden parts. Based very loosely on a book of the same name, this gross-out kids movie could have very easily crashed and burned. Against all odds, it turned out to have heart. Not unlike the swamp-dwelling ogre himself, its message of acceptance and authenticity rings as true today as it did in 2001, and its obvious parody to the Walt Disney Company is still relevant and funny. The movie opens with our protagonist using Disney's tried-and-true storybook formula as toilet paper, and things only ramp up in aggression from there. The sorts of fairy tales Disney bases their movies on are purposely mocked and mishandled in Shrek. They're even made out to be the butt of racy jokes.
Although she lives with 7 other men, she's not easy. Just kiss her dead, frozen lips and find out what a live wire she is.
If you're wondering why so much effort was put into this extended bit, it all has to do with what went down at Disney in the early 90s. Due to some bad blood between Jeffrey Katzenberg and Disney's then CEO Michael Eisner, Katzenberg was passed up for a promotion at the company. In response, he left to co-found DreamWorks in 1994. Shrek was, in essence, a way for him to stick it to his former bosses. As the producer, he was able to unsubtly tell the world what they really thought of Disney, and nowhere is that more clear than with the movie's villain. Lord Farquaad is a joke, there's no denying it. He is almost certainly based on Michael Eisner, though DreamWorks' marketing chief vehemently denied it in a 2001 Chicago Tribune article. His name is supposed to sound like a not-so-PG insult,
Farquaad.
And even the character's short stature is purportedly a dig at something the 6'3" Eisner once said about Katzenberg, who was 5'4", cementing the idea that this was just a juvenile feud between two people looking to insult each other.
Men of Farquaad's stature are in short supply.
And before we even meet the man, we are shown the impacts of his newly instated initiative to clean up the land of Duloc. A mob shows up at Shrek's swamp with literal torches and pitchforks, looking to capitalize off of Farquaad's offer of gold for the capture of fairy tale creatures. We later see many of these disenfranchised creatures being caged and carted away by indifferent knights as they openly sob and beg for mercy.
This cage is so small.
Please don't turn me in. I'll never be stubborn again. I can change. Please give me another chance.
Oh, shut up. Oh.
While there are some clear authoritarian themes on display, the scene can also be read as a gag on Disney's apathy towards the public domain fairy tales they essentially hold hostage under their branding. Of course, it's played for laughs since this is a kids' movie. Still, the content of the scene is brutal, and it's all happening at the behest of Lord Farquaad.
By the order of Lord Farquaad, I am authorized to place you both under arrest and transport you to a designated resettlement facility.
His introductory scene walks a similar tonal line, and it does an exemplary job of demonstrating what kind of villain we're dealing with. We're shown the grim interrogation of the gingerbread man at the hands of Farquaad, and we aren't spared any of the gory details. The low angles, dramatic lighting, and uncanny early computer animation make for a genuinely upsetting combination. And yet, it's all still rendered comedic through various lighthearted gags. John Lithgow does an incredible job bringing both humor and gravitas to Farquaad's lines. It's not easy to be taken seriously when quoting children's rhymes.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
You're a monster.
Gingy sounds believably distressed when he's being dunked into a glass of milk or threatened with the removal of his gumdrop buttons, and his desperate "no" when he's being thrown into the trash has been burned into the brains of many young viewers. This scene is also where we learn the why of Farquaad's evil plan. He sees fairy tale creatures as deviant monsters who take up valuable space in his otherwise perfect world. He wants to eradicate them from existence, which usually means rounding them up and exiling them to distant lands. though he's not opposed to sending his lackeys to end their lives when he deems it necessary.
Knights, new plan. The one who kills the ogre will be named champion. Have at him!
In his quest for perfection, he also seeks an equally perfect bride so he can finally become king of Duloc. This is a man who wants peace and order by any means necessary, and he believes those means are justified because he has sufficiently othered an entire group of people. He, his subjects, and the authority figures under his rule all believe the lie that fairy tale creatures are lesser and undeserving of basic rights. This is a harrowing prospect, and it's where we start to see the seams between the two separate halves of Farquaad's character. There's the jokey Eisner proxy, and then there's something else. Later, when Shrek and Donkey finally make it to Disneyland, Duloc, we're treated to the best example of how the movie merges its lighthearted jabs at Katzenberg's former workplace with its more serious, villainous undertones. Farquaad's castle is stark white, totally symmetrical, and massive.
Do you think maybe he's compensating for something?
His flower beds are precisely manicured, he pumps pleasant background music out into the streets, there's even a shot of a ladder and paint buckets to indicate that he's in the process of making all the buildings look cohesive. Everything is in its rightful place. The tongue-in-cheek references to the Disney theme parks keep the moment light and funny. Everyone remembers the big-headed mascot that runs through the queue and the hilarious spoof on It's a Small World, yet when you stop to think about Farquaad's need for complete and total control, along with the atrocious acts he's willing to commit to acquire it, things start to get a little messy. He becomes less like a silly stand-in for an ex-coworker and more like a proper villain. By this point in our story, we've seen what Farquaad's laws do to fairy tale creatures. We've seen him participate in the torture of a prisoner, and now we're finally seeing his definition of perfect. Farquaad hasn't achieved peace, but rather domination. His version of order is rigid and oppressive. This supposedly unthreatening man the characters are meant to point and laugh at has successfully turned his kingdom into a dictatorship. The risk of him gaining even more power is real and worrying. The unassuming sheep's clothing he adorns himself with only makes him that much more terrifying. These are some intensely heavy themes to throw at a joke character in a kid's movie, but Shrek experiments with the boundaries in a surprisingly tactful way, especially when you consider that the movie also includes fart jokes and a romantic subplot between a donkey and a dragon.
I don't want to rush into a physical relationship. I'm not emotionally ready for a commitment of this magnitude.
It's true that the characters in Shrek often find themselves in absurdist territory, but Farquaad is not exempt from this. In more recent years, he's been turned into a meme, and so we tend to overlook just how menacing he is on a base level, mirroring how the characters in universe also don't take him seriously. This is further proof that the DreamWorks team knew what they were doing. They successfully walked the line. While Farquaad may just be a vehicle for Katzenberg's petty revenge on the surface, once you start peeling back the layers of the onion, there's an unexpected rot at the center. And that's why, even after over 2 decades, Lord Farquaad is still a great villain. And well, that's all we have for you today. If you are still here, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Nerdstalgic so you can stay up to date with all our latest releases. And let us know in the comments, were you afraid of Lord Farquaad as a kid?
No, I wasn't afraid for him. I was afraid of what happened to him, though. Because
your hairpiece looks like something that was killed crossing the highway.
This is Jim Carrey in Liar Liar. And of course it is. What else did we expect from him in the 90s, right?
What the...
Some of you...
Watch. I click shuffle.
Imagine this.
Ah, there we go.
You're born looking like a penguin. Everywhere you go, people point at you, laughing, calling you a freak. And all you want deep down is to be loved for who you are, despite how ugly the outside can be. But no one ever sees you for anything other than a disfigured penguin. So you learn to hate society for what it did to you, and figure that if people won't love you for who you are, you'll make them love you for something you're not. You keep those who don't care about you in your circle, and constantly try to attain things of value to fill the void of loneliness, and become a cold, bitter human being because your whole life has been a lie. That's the penguin. Growing up with the features of a penguin can come with a ton of cons, I bet you can imagine. Especially because sometimes kids can be pretty cruel. In the past, I talked about Waylon Jones and how Waylon was shunned from society because of his skin condition, which would grow scales all over his body. And his alcoholic aunt would attempt to scrub those scales off of him to make him appear normal. But this never worked, and eventually kids would throw dead fish at him and pick on him for looking like an alligator. So you can only imagine how kids would treat Oswald Cobblepot. Although I'd argue that Waylon got it much worse than Oswald ever did, but what interests me most is how Oswald handled the scrutiny compared to Waylon. Being made fun of constantly for how they both looked, Waylon decided to leave society entirely, whereas Penguin stayed in it, where he'd be made fun of constantly for having penguin-like features. It made Oswald literally hate his own life, and it only takes so much for someone, especially a kid like Oswald, to break and lash out against those who point their fingers and laugh at them, until they're the ones that get the last laugh in the end. Like in the comic Joker's Asylum, Penguin. In the beginning of the story, it starts with the Joker banging his head against his cell door, antsy to tell a super secret story about the Penguin. Two-Face practically yells at the Joker to shut the fuck up and so he can get some shut-eye, but Joker yells at him to be quiet unless he wants his eyeballs to turn into jelly. Continuing the story, Joker tells us that this story within a story is about one finding one's soulmate, and what the effects of malicious laughter can do to somebody. Beginning with a flashback to high school, the day of the big dance, and to a boy named Oswald Cobblepot being laughed at. See, Oswald tried popping the question to Allison on if she'd go to prom with him or not, but Allison says to Oswald that she'd never be caught dead with him. Oswald, a little bit confused, brings up a note that Allison left on his desk professing her love for him, but Allison has no idea what Oswald's talking about as her friends laugh hysterically behind her, because they pranked Oswald with a fake love note. Allison then joins in on the laughter, leaving an absolutely heartbroken Oswald on the sidelines, with the laughter echoing in his head. As we cut to present day with Oswald now the Penguin in a limo filled with the laughter of 3 women. They're basically like using the Penguin to eat out at some of the fanciest restaurants in the city, like he's Kanye West, and this bothers Penguin quite a bit, so he just kicks out the ladies from his limo in the middle of good old Gotham night rain, to which the ladies promptly call Penguin an ugly little creep as he rides off in his limo. Feeling colder than ever and seeking some enjoyment for himself, the Penguin goes to a crime convention. And while walking through the convention, Penguin just feels like he should go back home and watch The Sopranos or something, until his interest is piqued. As she did something no one has ever asked from the Penguin before. Help. The next morning, the woman awakes to the utmost beautiful view of the gleaming sunset over top Gotham, until she's stricken with fear at the sight of the Penguin while he tries to calm her down, reaffirming that he won't harm her and he didn't buy her to be a slave, stating that the way she was being treated was beyond savage and he simply wouldn't stand for it. The woman, bursting with joy, hugs the Penguin, thanking him endlessly, filling Penguin's heart with something he's never experienced before.
Actually a good
Love.
guy.
Weeks go by and Penguin can't get enough of the woman, learning that her name is actually Violet. They've been together for 2 weeks now, and Penguin's astounded at how much she brightens up the place. A goon is then thrown towards the wall while Penguin asks if he by chance noticed Violet's new decorations, commenting on how different Violet is compared to the other women he's surrounded himself with as the Penguin. Like how Violet doesn't want Penguin to give her wicked expensive gifts, rather just spend quality time together instead. And they'll spend hours together just talking about the most random things ever, or they'll talk about Penguin's most favorite thing in the whole wide world, his birds. He has her as his computer background and is so in love with Violet he hasn't given any thought to crime at all for at least 2 days, believing that he's finally met his soulmate after so many years of thinking that the idea of love and soulmates to be preposterous. Batman, after beating up the goons, tells Penguin that he'll be watching it, but Penguin just thinks about Violet. A couple nights later, Penguin takes Violet to one of the fanciest dinner places in Gotham. Penguin holds Violet's hands and begins to tell her that for the past few weeks of knowing one another, that Violet has saved him, and could have never believed that in a million years he would ever find someone he truly could be himself with. But upon confessing his love for Violet, he's then cut off by an overtly loud sound of laughter, and looking over his shoulder, he'd see a cook laughing hysterically in the Penguin's direction. Now, he could have been laughing about anything, nothing malicious to it at all, but in the end, it didn't really matter to Penguin as he reached for his steak knife. But before anything could happen, Violet stopped him and demanded to know what he was going to do. Penguin, flustered, would then catch himself and tell Violet that it's nothing, let's just enjoy our dinner. They then enjoyed their meal and went on to have a pretty great evening. But it wasn't the end of that whole debacle, because the following day the restaurant had a new owner who fired all employees and closed down the place for good. The day after losing his job, the chef's wife was then deported back to Romania and his best friend was arrested for some no-no photos of kids. Day after that, a new tenant moved into the apartment next to his and non-stop blared loud music so the chef couldn't get a single iota of sleep. The church the chef went to every Sunday became infested with killer bees and was forced to close down. The park he'd like to read at was bulldozed, and then the chef, who was a recovering alcoholic, woke one morning to find a 24-hour liquor store was open just across the street from his apartment. Less than 2 months after the chef laughed in Penguin's general direction, a janitor found the chef hung inside of a bus station bathroom. And the day after that, the Penguin was more happy to see his name in the obituaries than ever. Violet saw Penguin's villainous grin and it sent a chill down her spine, because instinctively she knew that that was a grin of someone who hurt another person. Grabbing the book Penguin would use to glue newspaper articles inside, she'd sift through it till she found the article of the chef who hung himself, wondering what Penguin has done. Reading further, she began to see all the horrific things that Penguin has ever done to ordinary people who only just laughed at the Penguin. As we then flash back to the girls who played that joke on Oswald that were the first to taste his wrath, to learn what it meant to laugh at the Penguin, as a flock of vicious birds brutally attacked the girls after being sent by a vengeful Oswald. Back to the present, Penguin arrives back home trying to look for Violet but can't find her anywhere, until he arrives to their bedroom with a pair of freshly cut roses, to find Violet packing her things. Violet, scared for her life, begs Penguin to spare her after finding out everything that he's done, calling Penguin a monster for all the horrific things he's done to others, shocked that she didn't see how much of a monster he truly was till now. Penguin then yells at Violet to stop calling him a monster, but Violet doesn't care as she tells Oswald that she's leaving tonight, to which the Penguin looks back at Violet, gritting his teeth, telling Violet that Oswald isn't his name. Flashing back again, we see the three girls after the attack charging at Oswald with bats in hand, beating the shit out of him, until they eventually have their fill, telling Oswald to stay away from girls for the rest of his natural-born life. Oswald, after the beating, crawls over to his birds, the one sole thing he loves more than anything else in this world. But upon touching one of them, it bites at Oswald, filling him with rage, as he takes one of the bats the girls used to hit each of his beloved birds till each and every one of them lay dead on the floor. But after killing them all, Oswald realized that he had killed the only thing that brought him true happiness, as he cried on the floor for hours after apologizing. Back in the present, Penguin is sorry that things couldn't work out between them, saying that these things just happen and there isn't anything that could be done, but hopes that with time they'll both get over it and stay friends, wishing Violet nothing but the best for her in the next chapter of her life. And as a girl whisks Penguin away for a fancy dinner, Penguin says goodbye to Violet in the very same place they both met, inside a cage. As the two part ways, Penguin was the one who got the last laugh in the end. But what Penguin could never in his life realize was that those who end up with the last laugh are the ones who usually end up laughing alone.
I love that.
I love this Penguin comic a lot because of how it shows how Penguin came to be such a vile human being. All his life, people pointed at him laughing, and Oswald eventually broke. Whatever innocence he had as a kid was destroyed after that singular prank those girls pulled on Oswald. Of course, there were probably many other things at play during his childhood that affected his innocence, but this was his first act of cruelty, paving the way for so much more. And to me, it's very interesting to see how it all unfolded to present day. Like, it somehow makes you feel bad for Penguin, but then when he sells Violet to be a slave again, you're just like, yeah, he's a messed up human being through and through. There's like nothing redeemable about him. Penguin has some serious anger issues and has no actual coping mechanism other than destroying things. And it seems to be that the trigger for his anger is laughing, no matter the circumstance. I can only imagine what a team up with the Joker would look like. But it just goes to show that if you laugh at the Penguin, he'll be the one who gets the last laugh. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the flip side.
He's pretty scary. If you ever watch Gotham, they do a pretty good Penguin in Gotham. I remember.
Oh man, it's here. The Squeakquel. Pointing out that Mr. Freeze is a sad character is kind of like saying that water is wet. But for a long time now, I've wanted to talk about Mr. Freeze similarly to how I talked about Killer Croc in the past, in terms of discussing how Mr. Freeze, aka Victor Freeze, is a genuinely sad character and I want to take the time to explain why. The inspiration from this video came mostly from the comic called Batman Adventures Holiday Special, in which the comic is full of short stories that were featured in the animated show, all but one, that brought me almost to the point of crying from how painfully real it felt, and it was called White Christmas. To break it down for you, the story is essentially set on Christmas Eve, with Batman arriving to the asylum to hear that Freeze is broken out. Batman asks why he'd do it now, and the doctor says that he'd been behaving rather oddly for the last week, constantly asking the doctors about the weather on Christmas Eve and if it'd snow or not. Once hearing it'd be a Christmas with no snow from the doctors, he became rather depressed. This leads Batman to put two and two together and assumes Mr. Freeze wants to freeze over Gotham after losing his wife to a grave accident and conducting his research, thinking that if Freeze can't celebrate Christmas when the one he loves, no one else should either. This leads Batman to save countless people along the way following Freeze's trail until it'd lead him to the Gotham Cemetery, where he'd find Freeze. The two inevitably clash until Batman puts a stop to Freeze by destroying his freeze ray. What follows after is a visually striking page of Batman about to deliver a blow to Freeze that'd surely knock him out. But the two share glances at one another, and Batman just simply says that it's Christmas, so he won't fight him. But instead, he'll just ask him why he had to do this tonight of all nights. Freeze quietly points to the grave of his beloved wife, Nora, and tells Batman that they married 10 years ago today on Christmas Eve. Nora loved the snow and thought it sad there should be none this year, and he wouldn't want Nora to be sad tonight. The story doesn't end with Batman beating up Mr. Freeze. Instead, it ends with Batman simply listening to Freeze and being a shoulder to cry on. I said it before, but I truly love Batman, specifically the kind of Batman that is sympathetic to his villains, and understands that they all had bad days just like him once. It's just, they all had different ways of internalizing those events. And when Batman lends a hand to these broken villains and just listens to their pain, they see someone who never gives up hope that they can strive to be better. And in Mr. Freeze's case, he's a man that's reluctantly committed terrible acts, all for the good intention of saving his wife, so he can hold her in his arms once more. Now, it's no secret that the Iceman is a cold and calculated villain that has gone up against the dynamic duo on several occasions, and possibly along the way has hurt hundreds of people. But behind these actions lies a restless intent to cure his wife and save her from her icy prison. Whenever I read a comic featuring Mr. Freeze enacting some icy villainous plot to secure something that can further his research in curing his wife's Nora's Huntington's disease or cancer, the writers kind of flip-flop on what she has a lot. I feel from Freeze a man consumed by despair in his cold heart, a man that can't accept the idea of loss, a man that can't stand a world where he has to let go, and most of all, a man that can't accept he has no control. If Freeze were to lose his beloved Nora, to Freeze, he'd view his life and anything else he's ever done as ultimately pointless. There'd be nothing left, and he'd become nothing but a cold husk of his former self.
Nothing matters, do you understand? Nothing but my Nora!
You've endangered lives all over this city. Nora would never have wanted this.
No. What she wants is to live a long life in the warmth of the sun. Her hand in mine. Because of him, she'll only feel the icy touch of a man whose emotions run as cold as the blood in his veins.
Thus, when Nora becomes terminally ill and Freeze puts Nora into an experimental cryogenic chamber in hopes of preserving her until he can find a cure to save her, he ultimately disregards Nora and what she may wish not only for herself, but how she'd also want Freeze to live his life when she'd be gone. This becomes all the more apparent when we get a peek as to what their lives looked like before everything went wrong. Now, if I could honestly sum up their marriage, it was almost like Freeze tried to control everything in the relationship, and there was never any time to just live. Like Nora says in the Arkham games, time has never been on their side.
Then let me live.
We won't have much time. Days.
Time never has been on our side, Victor.
Before they were a normal married couple that had trouble keeping company with each
So
other due to
interesting.
Freeze constantly working, unable to properly balance time between his work and his wife. On top of this, Freeze also always construed events in some way in their lives so that Nora could never do anything on her own because he wanted her all to himself, like keeping a bird in its cage, if you will. And if he did open the metaphorical cage for Nora to spend time with family or friends, he'd become incredibly infuriated that his beloved was shared with others, which would end up driving an immense wedge between them and their marriage, to which Nora would occasionally give Freeze crap about always working and frequently say things like life can't always be about work, or they can't stay cooped up all the time because there's a whole world outside from their home, fearing that they'd look back on their lives to these years and say that they were their best years. Despite the constant fighting for Freeze to stop controlling everything, Freeze would always disregard how she felt and worked and worked and worked. See, the reason Freeze worked almost constantly was because he worked at GothCorp, specifically in cryogenics, and Freeze was frankly obsessed with cryogenics, specifically the part about prolonging life in terms of freezing. Pretty ironic that Freeze works tirelessly to significantly prolong life, given the fact that Freeze literally refuses to live it himself, because as a child, after learning of the concept of death, he became a person who refused to accept the cards that life had dealt onto him, as seen in the comic Batman Mr. Freeze. In this story, it covers a Mr. Freeze years into his career as a villain, recalling his origin to his hired thugs as he reigns icy hell over Gotham, stating that it's the first time since he was a child that life is starting to make sense again, flashing us back in time to when Freeze was only but a child getting scolded by his parents for having an obsession with freezing living creatures like mice or butterflies. Freeze also had a severe problem where he would go all over his own neighborhood and steal different pets from neighbors and freeze them down in the basement. Upon his parents finding this out, they would bring Freeze to his school thinking that maybe the teacher could talk some sense into him. However, the teacher doesn't view Freeze's obsession with freezing things to be scolded for, but something Freeze struggles to understand and accept. This also isn't made any better by the combination of Freeze's overbearing parents who don't give him an ounce of control over his own life. Wonder where he got the controlling issues from. The teacher tries to get through to his parents by saying that by controlling him essentially every given moment, it's harming Freeze's upbringing. Thus, his teacher simply asks why Freeze freezes creatures, to which Freeze says that they are pretty and he doesn't want them to be hurt or to die, wanting them to stay safe and beautiful forever. The teacher takes what Freeze says and thinks the issue is one of control. Because Freeze is under such constant stress and pressure to live up to his parents' expectations, Freeze feels helpless. Thus, freezing small creatures in ice makes him feel strong, like he's in a world he can control. And if they want it to stop, they'd better ease up on controlling his every move. And yet, Freeze's father gets the wrong takeaway from this and thinks by controlling him even more, the problem will just fade away. So, his father would proceed to give Freeze an immeasurably large workload to keep him so busy from studying that Freeze would have no time to freeze anything ever again. But not even a moment before his father would leave the room, Freeze would turn to his pet mouse like a Nick addict and take the mouse out of its cage, bringing it down to the kitchen where he'd fill up a container with water and attempt to freeze the mouse in the refrigerator. However, before Freeze could do this, his father came to the kitchen after hearing some commotion to find his son doing the one thing he told him to never do again, leading his father to kick the living shit out of him. And unable to tolerate his son's behavior any longer, he'd send Freeze to a boarding school in hopes that it'd change him for the better. But all it did was make Freeze truly realize just how alone and powerless he truly was. Day after day, he was bullied, and when the time came for him to go home, his family never returned. And yet there was one silver lining to Freeze's insufferable childhood, which had turned out to be the meeting of his future wife, Nora. Upon meeting one another, they couldn't be more different. Nora was the school's most promising athlete, and Freeze was a bookish introvert. Freeze adored her from the moment he first saw her, and never thought she'd ever notice him. Until she did. They both skate together, and Freeze, being that it's his first time skating, would inevitably fall. And in Nora getting Freeze back up onto his feet, the two would share a brief kiss, continuing to skate with one another. And for the first time in Freeze's life, he was happy. A year later, they got married and settled down near a small upstate college where Freeze earned his doctorate degree and taught science. In time, he began to experiment with cryogenics for fun, but when he began to see the actual long-term health benefits, he grew with excitement that his childhood deviancy proved to be beneficial later on in his life. All in all, everything was going spectacularly well until, naturally, it wasn't meant to last. In less than a year, Nora became sick from a rare form of cancer, but with a good chance of recovery, but it'd take a large amount of money. Much more money than Freeze could afford. Freeze would end up leaving his teaching job to dedicate most of his time to taking care of Nora, along with trying to find a high-paying job that would allow Freeze to pay for Nora's treatment, going to companies like Wayne Tech, Star Labs, then LexCorp, all refusing to help, until he was finally accepted at a company called GothCorp, as Freeze would describe it to be a soulless, life-crushing entity. Sounds similar to another company I used to work for. The company was run by a man named Ferris Boyle. Ferris Boyle, the best way I could describe the guy, would basically be like you saying a funny and original joke, but no one heard you, and then Ferris would be that guy that'd say it again, just louder, and get a big laugh, leaving you kind of just there in the room to reflect on your life. Ferris Boyle is basically just a guy that steals ideas and makes tons of money off of them, and gives no credit to the actual people that made them. And after working at the company for a spell, and letting Ferris take credit for tons of Frieza's inventions, Frieza developed a cryochamber that once entered would leave the person in suspended animation till modern medicine would be able to provide a cure for any disease. This to me sounds like an amazing idea with tons of applications that'd save millions of lives, including his own wife, but all Ferris Boyle ever cared for was how much money he could rack up from cutting corners, leading Ferris to cut Frieza's project before it could even take off. With Nora's condition growing worse and Frieza unable to keep up financially for her treatments, Frieza felt like there was no other option left than to preserve her in the abandoned cryochamber project. Thus, Frieza snuck Nora into GothCorp, nearly getting caught by security, said his farewells to Nora, and dunked her into the cryochamber. And after doing all of this, Frieza felt a calm wave wash over him, like he could finally breathe and not have to worry about the impending doom of losing his wife. He could finally get sleep and think clearly on how to save his wife. Until about a month and a half later, Ferris Boyle got the bill and found out Frieza had kept the project running even after Ferris ordered it shut down. Sending security down to shut down the project, Frieza would beg Ferris to keep the chamber on to keep his wife alive, but he'd refuse to listen, saying to Frieza that she looks dead already. So in a desperate act, Frieza would steal an officer's gun to save Nora, but end up accidentally shooting coolant tanks which would freeze over the entire lab. After the explosion, they took Nora's chamber as Ferris had hoped to turn a profit from the project. However, a year later, GothCorp executives started turning up all over Gotham dead, encased in ice. As Frieza somehow managed to survive the explosion, but with the caveat of never again being able to tolerate temperatures above 0 degrees. Thus, Frieza was forced to create and spend the rest of his life inside a makeshift refrigeration suit, making this incredibly apparent by killing all of Ferris Boyle's executives and hired goons till nothing stood in the way between Frieza and his vengeance, declaring himself as Mr. Freeze upon meeting Boyle once again. Blasting Boyle with his freeze ray, he'd quickly begin to feel Death's cold embrace, until Batman would crash through the skylight. Upon their first meeting, seeing that Batman would stand in the way of his revenge against Boyle, Frieza attempted to blast Batman with his gun, but in doing so, he'd blast his own wife's chamber, splitting her body into several different pieces. Filled with unbridled rage, he'd blast and shatter Boyle into 100 different pieces, and Batman would put a stop to Freeze by dismantling his suit. On this night, losing his wife, his purpose, his life's meaning, he'd vow to his wife that so long as he lives, he will take whatever thing Batman holds dear and destroy it in front of his eyes. Now after this though, a bunch of timey-wimey bullshit happens and, I don't know, Superboy Prime punches the fabric of time and space, or the Flash travels through time and kicks a rock, and you end up getting versions of Mr. Freeze that overlap into a confusing pit where Nora is either dead or she's alive and gets cured and then becomes an icy villain like her husband, or maybe they pull a Tyler Durden on you and make you find out that Freeze was just never married to a woman named Nora in the first place. And while these stories kind of depreciate the sadness of Mr. Freeze in a sorts, when done correctly, Mr. Freeze to me is a profoundly tragic character, as seen from just his backstory alone. Yet there is one comic that involves Mr. Freeze that to me is quite honestly the saddest story to ever involve the character, ever in my opinion. In the animated series spin-off comic, Batman Gotham Adventures number 51. The animated series always managed to encapsulate everything that makes Mr. Freeze a tragic character flawlessly.
It's true.
With Freeze's obsessiveness to save his wife and his willingness to break any law to
The
secure
animated
possible
series
cure.
really
The inevitable
made a
and gut-wrenching
great Mr.
reality that
Freeze.
despite how much Freeze sacrificed to save his wife, she is appalled at the man he has become and the things he's done, leaving him. Leaving Freeze
But
nothing to do
Nora.
but walk the earth as a cold husk of a man, becoming more robotic as the years carried on till he'd be nothing but a head on a spider. And that's real, by the way. On one dreadfully cold night in Arkham Asylum, Freeze would be writing a letter to Nora asking to see her just one final time so he can have closure. Upon finishing his letter, one of the guards takes Freeze out of his robo-suit, wheeling him back over to his cell. And not to take away from the tone of the story, but look at how depressing his life is. He's literally just a fucking frozen head in a cell on a cart. Like, oh my god. Anyways, the letter ends up arriving to Nora's house, and her new husband hides the letter so not to make Nora feel even sadder for leaving Freeze. However, Nora feels like her husband is hiding something, so she chooses to investigate when her husband leaves to find dozens of letters written by Freeze begging to see her again. Feeling awful, she decides to pack her things and head over to Gotham to visit Freeze one final time. And to Freeze's surprise, one of the guards walks up to his cell and tells him to get ready because he has a visitor. Being wheeled in, Freeze's cold heart is filled with warmth once more at the sight of Nora, as she's stunned to see him again after so many years. Freeze tries to apologize for numerous things, yet Nora doesn't pay mind to it and instead says that she should have been more thankful since she's only alive because of what Freeze did for her, planting a device on Freeze's cart that'll provide him a robotic suit with enhanced strength that'll allow him to break out with ease, telling Freeze that she'll be waiting for him as she plants a kiss on his dome. Stricken with the warmth of love once again for Nora, Freeze wastes no time escaping, which inevitably gets the attention of Batman and Batgirl. Later, we see Nora on the phone discussing problems with a formula and problems with money. Right as Freeze walks in, able to hear everything within earshot, Freeze asks if Nora is in some kind of danger, and Nora tells Freeze that she agreed to take on a special contract to make a regenerative chemical for $10 million. But if it isn't completed without Freeze's help, she'll be in grave danger. Freeze asks if her new husband knows anything about this, and Nora says he knows nothing, and all she wants now is to be with him and have the life together that they've always deserved. After this, they end up working incredibly well, developing the regenerative formula, with the two of them excited about the future they'd soon have together that they'd never thought possible. Until Batgirl alongside Batman burst onto the scene ready to take on Freeze. But Freeze, determined to have the life with Nora that was stolen from him, he uses deadly force on the duo, throwing the pair off their trail. Upon delivering the regenerative compound to the buyer's location, they take their money and begin to leave until a man by the name of Daggett takes the compound. This is where the story takes a sad turn of events, because this ends up enraging Nora that she worked for Daggett, and Freeze is utterly confused on why this would enrage her so much, as it had turned out that Nora was Clayface all along, catfishing Freeze to get his money, morphing into Clayface to kill Daggett, the man responsible for turning him into Clayface. Before he could kill Daggett, Freeze would encase Clayface in ice and shatter him into 1,000 pieces for daring to make a mockery of his love for Nora and breaking his heart. Afterward, Batman would arrive to clean up the scene to find Freeze long gone, where we'd find Freeze weeks later fleeing to Antarctica and writing a letter to Nora one final time, telling Nora that it was foolish to think she could ever love him again as the man he is now, and he'll never write another letter to her again, wishing her happiness and a bright future with her new husband, hoping that she'll have the life she deserves without him in it, giving his goodbyes to Nora. As the real Nora would arrive to Arkham Asylum, hoping to visit Freeze, but arriving far too late, ending the story. This story is utterly heartbreaking to read because in it, Freeze is completely hopeless and frozen to the core. But met with the opportunity to be with Nora again, it fills him with the warmth of love he never thought he'd ever feel again, only for it to be ripped away from him once again, hurtling him further down the icy pits of despair without his one true love, having no control. That to me is what makes his character so tragic. He's a Batman villain whose sole problem is not riddles, coin tosses, or jokes. It's control. Or the lack of control, and this sense of powerlessness that stunts Mr. Freeze and leaves him in limbo, or frozen in time, pun intended, just like his wife. He can't accept that all things die, that even the most beautiful of things eventually come to an end, and that he is in the end powerless to stop it. And he'll always be this way, because if he were to ever accept things such as this, that would mean giving death control over him, and the only thing he's ever loved, Nora. This has been my video on why I think Mr. Freeze is a truly sad character. I'm gonna go shovel out my car now and get a nice coffee, so leave a like, subscribe, check out my Twitter if you want, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.
What happened to the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Your hairpiece looks like something that was killed crossing the highway.
This is Jim Carrey in Liar Liar. And of course it is. What else did we expect from him in the 90s, right? But this is also Jim Carrey in Liar Liar.
I love Liar Liar. It's one of my favorite movies.
I am tired.
Early Jim Carrey's so good.
And children are not leveraged.
Up until 1997, Carrey's performances ranged from unhinged to downright cartoonish. His role in Liar Liar certainly brings a lot of that same energy. But there's something else there too. Something that changed our perspective on Carrey as an actor and shaped his career moving forward.
I have to lie. Everybody lies.
But you're the only one that makes me feel bad.
Liar Liar was marketed as a straight-up Jim Carrey vehicle, complete with all the wild physical comedy and absurd jokes audiences had come to expect from the likes of The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and Ace Ventura. From his stand-up days to his 4-year stint on In Living Color to, The Cable Guy. It was clear by the mid-90s that Carrey was establishing a pattern. But when Liar Liar first hit theaters, it came time to reconsider Jim Carrey's legendary status. No longer just a joke, he showed audiences and casting directors everywhere that he was capable of more than an impressive array of outlandish facial expressions. Instead of opening on a classic Jim Carrey-style gag, Liar Liar starts with a classroom full of children telling their teacher what their parents do for work. Max Reed, played by Justin Cooper, announces to the class that his dad is a liar. When his teacher corrects him and says his father is actually a lawyer, Max then shrugs his shoulders. To him, the two are indistinguishable, especially since being a lawyer means that his father can't fulfill his promise to attend his 5th birthday party. So Max makes a desperate wish on his birthday candles and asks
That for only one day, Dad couldn't tell a lie.
And that's where the plot really kicks into gear. The setup manages to add a tinge of tragedy to the overall tone of the film. Playing the dishonest attorney, Fletcher Reed, Carrey is quippy, sardonic, and impossibly energetic, and makes him equal parts likable and slimy. Since the film opens with Fletcher's son rather than Fletcher himself, you're constantly being reminded of that sad little boy while you're watching Carrey goof off and chew the scenery, sometimes literally. It really reframes the film's comedic antics from the get-go and helps to humanize Carrey's otherwise outrageous character. This isn't just Ace Ventura, attorney at law. This is a father who is failing his son and struggling with his recent divorce. He's a man who's out for himself and his career. He doesn't seem to care how many people he hurts along the way, and he desperately needs to learn a lesson about humility, honesty, and family.
You know, this truth stuff is pretty cool.
I love my son! I love my son!
We have screenwriters Stephen Mazur and Paul Guay to thank for this structure and characterization. The writing duo only had one other credit to their name before penning Liar Liar, 1994's The Little Rascals. Though one script was written for children to act out and the other was written for a child in a grown man's body, they both have a similar heartfelt feel. The sincerity of the script is complemented by director Tom Shadyac, who has worked with Carrey before on Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Through that experience, he apparently learned how best to use the actor's abilities in Liar Liar. Take the mirrored sequences of Fletcher arriving at his law firm before and after Max's wish.
Hey, Fletcher. Hey, Pete. You losing a little weight? What's up, Fletcher? Your cholesterol! Fatty!
The first sequence is much lower energy. Carrey reins in his performance for the slower pace, and the camera follows him around almost lazily as he interacts with his various coworkers. It all feels very loose and relaxed, and yet it's executed with rigid efficiency, similar to the way Fletcher operates as a character. Later on, when Fletcher discovers he's lost his ability to lie, everything feels panicked. Fletcher powers through all the same interactions with his coworkers, except this time, Jim Carrey builds up the energy until it boils over in the iconic pen scene.
Magical shit just happened for no reason. Like the only
During
reason
his walk through this office, you might expect the camera work to be chaotic, but it actually stays consistent with the previous scene. That lethargy really highlights Carrey's increasingly frenzied performance. We only start to get odd angles, tighter shots, and quick cuts when Fletcher is alone in his office. And even then, the focus is on Carrey's overwrought acting. Through the language of the film, we're told that this is a man who is totally at odds with the world at that moment. While everything around him remains mundane, he's breaking down. Not only is it hilarious to watch, but it also gives us a sense of where Fletcher is on his journey of self-discovery. There are plenty of hijinks in the film, and they all follow a similar pattern, setting up situations where Fletcher would normally lie, and have him fail spectacularly never gets old, even though they repeat the gag constantly.
It was me!
He pays his penance over and over again, either due to outside influences or at his own hand. And sprinkled throughout are little moments of reflection on the part of Fletcher. After having a monumentally bad day and getting pulled over for changing lanes without signaling while running a red light and speeding, Fletcher's car is repossessed and Audrey has to pay to get it back. What starts out as a fairly tense argument about whether Audrey should take Max to live out of state devolves pretty suddenly. Because he's incapable of lying to others or himself, he comes out with the line,
I'm a bad father.
Carrey staring off into the middle distance and coming back with a softer, apologetic energy is one of his best in the whole movie.
I'm a bad father.
It's a pivotal bit of development for Fletcher's character, and it helps us sympathize with him as an audience. But it's also the first real glimpse of the dramatic acting Carrey is capable of. something we would see a lot more of in future projects, like The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in 1998 and 2004 respectively. So, by the time we get our big and completely out-of-place airplane chase in the third act, we find ourselves rooting for him and his family. We can feel Fletcher's remorse when he apologizes to his son for not being there for him.
All this time you've been here, and I could see any time I felt like it, but I didn't. I love you, and I'll never hurt you again.
And that's all thanks to Carey's charisma and acting chops. Obviously, we know that this man brings physical comedy to any movie he works in. After sitting through the entire bathroom scene, it's impossible to deny it. But those down-to-earth moments, when the script was relying on Carey to do the emotional heavy lifting, those were definitely unexpected, but not unwelcome. Subtlety and Carey are not exactly synonymous, and yet he managed to expertly play both sides of the role. When the script called for loud and obnoxious action, Carey exceeded expectations, and when it called for quiet vulnerability, well, there really was no expectation. It was pleasantly surprising to see the guy behind the mask show some real human emotion, and not just any emotion, a complex cocktail of shame, guilt, and familial love.
I have this horrible pain in my arm.
Oh no, it's the clock!
No one can stop the clock!
Liar Liar proved that in the right setting and with the right team behind him, Jim Carrey could do just about anything. A solid script by Stephen Mazur and Paul Guay, as well as Tom Shadyak's familiarity with Carrey, made Liar Liar what it is today. And it should be remembered as the movie that showed us that Jim Carrey is more than a guy who talks out of his butt.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
And well, that's all we have for you today. Thanks so much for sticking all the way until the end of the video.
Alright. So, this is it. I've done it. Huge fan of Norman Rockwell, if you could not tell. Zoom in for you. Can I even zoom in? Oh, okay, fine, whatever. I think this is one of my best, honestly. Let's go save as. Is it JPEG or PNG? Which one works better in Illustrator? I think it's JPEG. You get high resolution photos, right? JPEG, okay. Let's see here. Obviously, you gotta put that in the portfolio. I believe this is called wet paint or girl with canvas. Yeah, that's fine. What the fuck? I'm done. I finished. Do you want to save this complex layered picture as a flat image? It's like, yes. Yes, I do. Save as. Ah, jeez. What is other format? What does it even mean? I can't make it a PDF. Yeah, right. Would've been nice. How do you even save things in fucking Microsoft Paint? How do you even save things? Also, I don't know why I like Paint so much. It's just It's got all the right brushes, and it'll just like it's so simple that it's like I just pick it up and then I can just do whatever I want in it. This is my first time using layers in Paint, which turned out pretty well because I usually do like about 3 different things in a paint image or whatever. And so I was just like, let's try it out. Let's do something with it. This will be my art thumbnail, obviously, for whenever I do art streams. I'll probably go into like the YouTube editor when I throw this onto YouTube from Twitch and edit out the gameplay, or I might not. I don't know, because it does divulge into an art stream, so I'm not 100% sure of what I'm gonna do there. I'm really happy with how this came out. I was like, all day today, I was like, I really need a good thumbnail for my art streams. Because the one I made at first was just like, oh, it's the picture I drew, but then I drew it again. And it's like, well, that doesn't really speak to all my art streams. Because I've got a great thumbnail for the finals, you know, whenever I play the finals, and then I have to make a thumbnail for like just chatting streams where I'm just playing random games. Obviously, I'm gonna make a thumbnail in this very similar, what's it called? Contemporary style for Detroit Become Human. I'll try that. But yeah. Wrong one. Just nice to have like a... Well, what I do is usually it's just like a simplification of things. I like simplifying like really complex images into like colorful, like thick lines just to look at. You know, I just feel like it's nice to do that. Like some people do that as in a way to like. Well, I guess I also do it in that way too, but I do it with like actual like physical pictures as well. It's definitely something. It's definitely different when I do it with like a painting. So it's just kind of like it's just different, you know, because the painting itself, it's like already a made painting, but plenty of people have done this. You know, plenty of people have taken like very famous paintings and they recreated it in their own style. But I don't know, I just like, again, my style is just very like, whether like mistakes are not made. Like I do undo things, but just because I don't like the way like not because I made a mistake, more like the line doesn't line up with, well, I guess that is a mistake. What I mean is like, I just keep moving, you know, I just keep moving the pencil on the pad or the pencil on the paper, and I just try to form shapes out of thick lines. It's something that I really, really enjoy doing. It's like thick lines that form these obviously like humanoid shapes, but it's like, I don't know, there's something cartoonish yet reminiscent of like cubism or some shit like that. It's got its own thing going on, and I just don't know how to place it. You know, I guess, you know, it's just contemporary. It's just, in the simplest form, it is contemporary. And that's beautiful. Where the fuck are the paintbrushes? I thought I drew the paintbrushes. Huh? Yeah, I also like when you can like, when you remove parts of it, it looks really cool. You remove these two parts, and it's just this. Just the most basic of coloring. Outline. And then color outlines. Oh, there's the fucking brushes. Yeah, they're like mixed into the background. That's fine though. The general idea is there, and I think that's what's important. I like it without the outline, honestly. I think without the outline it's really cute. It looks very like painterly, like it took a brush to a canvas, which is really nice. But there's just something like there's just something cute when you put the outline on. It just makes it just really brings it together, and I like it so much. But yeah. Bro, I missed the fucking spot. It's okay. When I saved it, I saved it, the image with that spot there blocked up. That's why you keep the image that you're working on that you cover up underneath, just in case you missed a little spot. Just in case. Because usually when you miss a spot, it's usually just, it's the same color you're going for, so it doesn't really change anything. How do I even like save this? There's a dark theme? I could have been in dark theme this whole time. This is so much better. What the fuck? You've got to be kidding me. Why can't I spell? Because I'm dyslexic. It's really pretty. I really like it. I've done this before. This sort of popped up. This style of mine of like digital art sort of just popped up. Like, wait, like towards the. I want to say the beginning of towards the beginning of like maybe in the middle of 2022, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I was just like, I was really bored one day, and I was like, what if I just drew, like, but on, but with my mouse. You know, I was like, what could I make if I drew with my mouse? And if you've been following me, and you remember way back when, my first thumbnails for like my videos, my quote unquote videos. The videos on my channel were just for fun, so that I could put these cool thumbnails on something. Because I was like, these would be sick ass thumbnails, and they were. They are sick ass thumbnails. I still have them. I still have the videos. That are just, oh, they're so fucking sick. And I have my old PC, so I have to reconnect my old PC so that I can get those images that are in this same style, but I mostly did I mostly did it from like physical, like real world pictures. And they all came out. They're so good. They're like some of my best pieces are from that little collection. And it pisses me off that Microsoft isn't putting that shit on the cloud, because that means I gotta go back in that fucking old ass. I'm literally using that PC as a fucking nightstand at this point because it's just sitting there. Luckily, I didn't throw it away because I knew that there was like important shit on it. So I might just get like a whole converter to like turn the hard drive into like an external hard drive, and then just fucking. But it probably would be easier to just plug it in like right next to my computer and then just extract the files and move on with my life. Put it somewhere else, throw it away. I don't know. There's probably stuff on there that I could still use. I just need like a little thumb drive, and I should be good to go. Unless you can just transfer that shit with like USB to USB from computer to computer. Is that a thing? I don't know. I would hit the bed. I just wanted to make this. I felt really inspired, specifically by this picture. It just really like hit that little spot in my brain. I just felt this like rush of like, ooh, an artist, but the artist is female. You know, like that shit. Like, it just like hit my brain in a very interesting way. Also, fucking, I just made that fucking. That's my signature now. I had a mask signature for my masculine name. That's my new signature. But I don't give a shit. I just made that shit up. I was like, but what if? I don't know. I believe it's called. What is it called? What is it called? There's a book on this somewhere. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, good. Just making sure you can't see what I see. Especially for that. Come on. Where is it? It's a book on the idea of like making letters into shapes. Inversion, I think. I think it's called an inversion. Oh boy. It's all the way down here, isn't it? I have to buy those press-on nails. They look so fucking sick. Fuck. I don't know. I kind of like having fucking emo ass black nail polish. It's always kind of been a thing for me. Come on, where is it? Yes. It's so far down. Here it is. Yeah. Yeah, Inversions by Scott Kim. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, very graphic design oriented stuff, Inversions by Scott Kim. Oh, they have used offers. That book is usually like $99. It's crazy. But yeah, that's what it is. When you see an advertisement or a company that has a product and their logo is like a picture and also it's a letter, like if their logo is a letter, like it's just one letter and then the letter turns into a picture, or at some point in the logo the words or the name turns into a picture of some kind, or it is a picture of some kind. Let's call it inversion. Yeah. Scott Kim's Inversions. Go check it out. It's fucking sick. Yeah. So, anyways, thank you for watching. I appreciate your viewership. And I'll see you next time. Bye. So sleepy. Anyways, thanks for watching, and enjoy the music. Goodbye. So long.